we're gonna jump to HBO Max now because we got a movie I think we both were anticipating. It was on my letterboxed wanting to watch my watch list, and we finally got The Little Things from uh from John Lee Hancock. Sorry, I
Yes,
had a brain fart
Hollywood
there.
vet.
Um, and with an all-star cast, three leading men that uh, are very well acclaimed. I think they've all won an Academy Award. If
That's
I'm
correct.
thinking, Leto
Yeah.
won it for Dallas Buyers Club, right? Yeah,
Yep.
that's it.
Rami
So
Bohemian Rhapsody, Denzel for
Training Day,
Malcolm X and Glory, or is it Training Day and Glory? Yes,
Training
two.
Day
Or
and Glory.
yeah.
Pretty pretty excited going into this, and then I watched the movie. And Dave, did this live up to your expectations for the movie?
Well, my expectations factored in that this movie came out at the end of January, and that usually precludes a, shall we say, lowered expectation, unless if it's being pegged as an awards film. But no, this was a new 2021 film. This was not vying for Oscars, even though it is technically eligible. And you learn more about the little things. You find out that John Lee Hancock actually wrote the script in 1993. Movie set in the 90s. I did actually like that touch. There's no cell phones and cameras as a result, and no GPS. I like how that grounded us in LA in the 90s. Yet it's it doesn't come together. It's a dated thriller, and even though it was allegedly written before Seven, man, does it feel like a ripoff of Seven. I think that's a pretty common refrain at this point about the little things, but there's a lot of obvious comparisons, and uh, John Lee Hancock doesn't attempt to like be as stylistic and intentional with his decisions when he makes movies the way someone like David Fincher is. So it's a pretty stark comparison when you think about those similarities. So yeah, Little
Yeah,
Things is it's tough. It's not like trash, but like it doesn't come together.
that's I think that's an important point to make, is that it's getting a lot of hate online from what I've seen. It's only at 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the thing is that I think this movie is pretty entertaining. I think there's some serious pacing issues with it. Like, you really go from like some interesting things happening to like long stretches of pretty dull, inactive scenes. And you talk about all the similarities from to Seven. Older black cop, younger whippersnapper cop who's new school, and like the prodigy. You have like the weirdo serial killer, quote unquote. I think the framing, the lighting, especially the way that they show like the dead bodies in this movie is very reminiscent of Seven in some ways to me. But I think where this movie really lacked for me was Rami Malek, um, which is really tough to say because if you go back and listen to any of our reviews about Mr. Robot, um, we think he's a very talented guy, but I just did not buy him in this role as like the young suave boy genius detective.
Right.
I think Denzel's just doing Denzel, which is exactly what I expected and wanted, and Leto's being weird. I mean, I almost feel like, and I want to hear what you think about this. Would this movie have benefited if Leto and Malik had switched roles?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd be worse. I think you think about the strengths of the two, and I think we actually might see a twist on that thought in No Time to Die, where Rami Malek's the villain to James Bond. And I mean, we think about Rami as a performer; he's more neurotic, and
Yeah.
him doing that when he's like pursing his lips, doing all his ticks, just doesn't fit the like LA detective role at
No,
all.
not at
And
all.
Leto, yeah, Leto definitely sticks to being strange, being weird, but we've also seen him be a little more of a straight man. So I think that would definitely have helped the movie at least a little bit.
Yeah, I just think about Leto like more buttoned up kind of playing that like suave character, and I think he
Right.
just could have played that up more. Whereas
Yeah,
like
he's
I
like a conventionally handsome man when he chooses to dress nice too. So yeah, I think that actually could fit.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of left the movie feeling like, huh. I think this just was miscast strangely within the three. Not even like someone different. Just they could have made it better with the
Yeah.
three. But um, any scenes or any moments from the movie that stood out to you or you really
Hmm.
liked?
I don't know. Like as you say, it's like it's quite drawn out. Like it takes so long for the shooter drop with Denzel's character,
Mm,
and it's like you have a feeling there's more going on with this cop at the end, detective at the end of this rope. And then like when it finally happens, when you finally learn, it's like kind of anticlimactic and dull because I think you either figure it out at that point or it's not actually that like revelatory of a new piece of information for the audience, so it doesn't really land all that well, you know?
mm,
And then meanwhile, what happens with Rami at the end, the build up, like it's supposed to be like the pinnacle of the thriller. This is going for like a noir thriller kind of vibe. And if you're not immediately stuck on similarities to Seven, then I also feel like the results again a little anticlimactic. So yeah, I
yeah,
think if this script, I you can tell they were just kind of sitting on this one for a long time.
yeah. I agree. I think when I think about the scenes that really stood out to me from this movie, it was just I think a lot of the Denzel being Denzel, like the first crime scene that he really goes to, where the woman's been stabbed, and he finds the room across the way that the killer was probably watching her from. I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, I did like the scene where um, Leto was in the green car parked on the side of the highway, and they kept like going around and
Yeah.
around. How's the trunk space? Just a incredibly weird line reading. And
Yeah.
then I also think like the interrogation scene was pretty good. Like there's some moments that stood out,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
it's a lot of like nothingness in between, which is a little
Yeah.
disappointing.
I think my favorite part about the little things is Leto's like character when he would do like the point, like the way
Mm,
he would like hold his hand as he would point at Denzel. I was
yeah.
like, oh, that was good. I like this touch.
Yeah, I love the way Leto walked as that character with his feet pretty much like all the way out to like the side. It was like such a weird choice, but I was like, this is very Leto. I like that he's going for it here. Um, yeah, I mean, definitely not in the Denzel pantheon, not in any of their pantheon, I'd say. So,
No, if anything,
unfortunate.
it's another example of like a late period Denzel where he just brings a high floor
Mhm.
to a movie by the nature of his performance. But as you look at a lot of other late period Denzel movies, that only goes so far. Sometimes the movie is still bad, and that's what we got.
Not that it really matters because the movie wasn't great, but do you think Leto was the serial killer?
Oh God,
Well, unanswerable question, but
yeah, no idea. Honestly, I don't think the movie, as you said, is paced well enough to really actually have that like be sitting with you. Like I don't think anyone finishes the movie and still is like, I need to know. Like I don't think anyone
yeah.
cares that much.
There's a really interesting moment in the movie, which maybe I'm it's supposed to be linked to something else, but I think it's like near the beginning, and Denzel goes to like the cop breakfast place, and someone's like, "Hey, nice shoes." And when they said that, it really made me think because in the beginning, in that opening scene where the serial killer like chases down that girl, but you never see who it is. They like really linger on the guy's shoes. So I was like, are we supposed to
Oh.
believe that Denzel is actually this murderer? But there's no but and he's haunting it like I don't know. The whole thing was very like mind fucking to me. I don't know what was going on. So probably shouldn't spend as much energy thinking
Nah,
about it as I did.
that's enough.